What's up, Rams fans? Welcome back to Rams Showcase. Tonight, the Rams and Lions continue to work together. Plus, free agency has begun. Who is staying and who is leaving? And later, we answer your fan quesos. Next on Rams Showcase.
Welcome to Rams Showcase on Sports War Radio.
What's going on, Rams fans? Welcome back to Rams Showcase right here on Sports War Radio. I'm your host, Joe Brandon, but you can and should call me Sheriff Joe Bags, and I am laying down the law for you guys tonight. We got a bunch of stuff to get into. Free agency has begun. First and foremost, Rams fans, happy freaking New Year! It is the new league year, and it's one of my favorite times of the year. I used to take this day off of work. Now it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, we already kind of knew what was going to happen on this day beforehand, so I did not take the day off of work, so I did get a couple of new tidbits, a little disappointing tidbits on my way home from work. But you know what? The 2021 Rams, I still think we're looking good, guys. I'm not as down, I guess, as some fans about this upcoming season. I still think the Rams are going to do fine. I'm still excited about it. A lot of the guys we left, or that have left, it's a little bit unfortunate, but you know what? What are you going to do? Players come and go. The Rams are forever. So I've already seen a bunch of people talking about, it's like, what? How are we gonna go back to the playoffs without Samson Ebukam? So it's like, guys, relax. there's other good players out there, other good players on this roster still, and also other good players in like free agency. There's going to be some good players that we get in the draft. We enter the draft every year also, by the way, where all Rams fans are like, well, like, we don't have a first round pick this class. Like, who are we going to take? It doesn't even matter. And then when we take certain guys, they're like, I don't know that guy. He sucks. And then a couple years in, they're like, this guy's awesome. I'm a big fan. Yeah. So either way, I think the Rams fans need to just take a little bit of a breath, relax. It's all going to be okay. We are going to be talking about free agency here in just a minute. First, I wanted to get into a little bit of news and notes. Just some things that the Rams have done, like kind of leading into the free agency period. So first and foremost, like I said, Happy New Year. Happy New League Year, Rams fans. It's a good time. Officially today, Matt Stafford did become the LA Rams quarterback, and Jared Goff is now officially a Detroit Lion. So, of course, we knew that this trade was coming. There was really no reason to expect this trade to fall through. So it is now official. Matt Stafford is the LA Rams quarterback as of today. So that's amazing news. But also, like we said, that Jared Goff is now a Detroit Lion. You know who else is now a Detroit Lion? Yeah, Michael Brockers. The same Michael Brockers that was downing Jared Goff, basically, just publicly. TMZ stopped Michael Brockers. They were like walking with him somewhere, and they were basically asking him a bunch of questions. They were asking him about the trade, and he just straight up called it out. He said that Matt Stafford is like basically a clear upgrade over Jared Goff. And so that conversation is something that I wish I could be a fly on the wall of, the conversation of Michael Brockers and Jared Goff running into each other in Detroit in that locker room. I just think that would be so much fun to watch, because you have to think, what is that going to look like? Like, Michael Brockers, he thought he was going to be a Ram, so he's sitting here all pumped up and stuff, thinking like, hey, yeah, heck yeah, man, we got Matt Stafford, definitely an upgrade over Jared Goff, and then he gets to go play with Jared Goff now. Oh, man, I really wish I would see that one. It's like, I shared the gif of like that, the dude, he's got like his cup, he's like, you know, that's Michael Brockers looking at Jared Goff in the locker room in Detroit now, so, hey, they get a team up, that's pretty cool. The Lions are taking a lot of former Rams. You kind of expect that with a lot of the front office moves that have happened, with some guys going to Detroit to participate in front office work, which is bringing in guys. So, of course, we know now. We didn't know earlier because this broke. I was asleep. I go to sleep early, though. I'm an early to bed kind of guy. If it's 9:30 and I'm awake, I'm like, oh, my goodness, what am I doing over here? I need to relax. So we did hear about it. Well, I heard about it this morning. So most of you guys heard about it last night. But now we know what the Rams got in return for Michael Brockers, which is a 2023 7th round pick, which is really not that crazy. All right. So, and I saw fans are furious about this. And I guess I get it from the sense of like Michael Brockers is a good player. You would hope that you get something positive from him. But really, the Rams still got what they wanted out of this trade, which was out of Michael Brockers' contract. So I did take a screenshot here. Let me pull that one up. It was from an article that just really put it in a way that made a lot of sense. But I immediately, even after hearing the terms of the deal, was like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, it makes sense still. So I was trying to explain it to one of my friends who was not happy about this move at all and not happy about what the Rams got in return. But what I was trying to explain was that the Rams' goal was to get out of the Michael Brockers contract. It came out that the Rams approached Michael Brockers about reworking and restructuring his deal in what I would guess is an attempt to keep him. And he said no, so the Rams traded him away for a 2023 7th-round pick. They still got what they wanted out of his contract. And we didn't add to our cap space this season, which, I mean, the Rams clearly, we'll talk about it here in a second, but the Rams were trying to make some moves to free up some space for this season. So this is just I don't even have the article, so I do apologize for whoever wrote this. I'll try to give you credit if I can. But this paragraph here, I think, summed it up perfectly. Financially, it made a lot more sense to trade Brockers for a 7th-round pick 2 years down the line than it would have to outright cut him. By trading Brockers, the Rams take on $3.67 million in dead money, but also save a total of $6.17 million per Over the Cap. Over the Cap is a great website. I have no issues with them. I personally use SpotTrack. Over the Cap, great website, though. If the Rams cut him, the savings would have only been about $4.67 million, with a $5.17 million in dead money hitting the books. So the Rams saved money to not cut him and instead trade him for a 7th-round pick. So this actually worked out really well, Rams cap situation. So I'm not opposed to this move at all. It does suck to see Michael Brockers go. One of the only St. Louis Rams that was on the roster. We are down to just a couple now. Johnny Hecker, Aaron Donald, Rob Havenstein, and the one that I've been forgetting about this entire time, Troy Hill. Troy Hill was a member of the St. Louis Rams. He came over. He was waived. I think it was by the Patriots, and the Rams picked him up off of waivers, but that was the final year in St. Louis. So there is 4 remaining St. Louis Rams on this roster. Troy Hill was one that I kept forgetting about, but he also might be gone. He is technically not a Ram today. So as of 2 o'clock Joe time, 1 o'clock LA time, he's technically not an LA Ram right now. So we'll see what happens with that, though. We'll see if he comes back. Let's move on here to Leonard Floyd. The Rams did re-sign officially linebacker Leonard Floyd to a 4-year deal. I did not expect this move to happen, but it did happen. I have no problems with it, but I was a little bit surprised. He did have 10.5 sacks in the 2020 campaign. That was a career high for Leonard Floyd, who also, I mean, he did a great job. I have no issues with bringing back Leonard Floyd. I was just a little bit surprised at the money to bring back Leonard Floyd, because it seems like the Rams have been able to get production out of that position, out of the edge rushers, no matter who it is. We saw it with Dante Fowler, but we've also seen guys. Ebukam came in. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Some unfortunate news for Ebukam. But also, we've just seen guys be able to come in and rotate into that position and play well. I think Natrez Patrick's even played well in that spot. So I was a little bit surprised to see the money that Leonard Floyd did receive. I believe it was $64 million, or maybe it was 68. I always mix those ones up. I don't know why. I should have just wrote it down. I was like, I'll remember. Joke's on me. But also, the reports say that the New York Giants made a pretty hefty push for Leonard Floyd before he ended up signing his extension with the LA Rams. So the Giants did try to pull away Leonard Floyd from the Rams. He was scheduled to be a free agent today, but that did not happen. He did not officially hit the open market, so he is back with the LA Rams. They'll be rushing passers with Aaron Donald yet again for at least a couple more years. Also, guys, this is just a little bit of a disclaimer. On average, players play about 3/5 of the contracts that they sign, lengthwise. So if a guy signs a 5-year deal, on average, he's going to play for 5 years. In fact, the chances are higher on a 5-year contract that somebody is cut after year 1 than them making it to year 5. So don't pay too much attention to the years and all that stuff. And also, if you also want to take a little bit more of a step into the contracts and everything, the numbers that you guys see, that we all see, I guess I see them also, but the numbers that are announced, on average, players only make about 65% of that. Of course, you got the guarantees. Those are guaranteed, so you'll get those. There's like certain situations like Trent Williams signed his new deal with the 49ers. First 2 years are fully guaranteed. After that, though, not a whole lot guaranteed. So it's potential that he could get cut after that, even though it is a 6-year deal. But either way, for Leonard Floyd, realistically, he's probably going to play 3 more years and make about $45 million from the Rams. Just throwing that out there. If averages play out into the world in this situation like they have historically in the NFL. Moving on here, some veterans for the LA Rams have restructured their contracts to help the Rams get under the cap ahead of the new league year. Freed up almost $48 million in space. That was before the Michael Brockers deal. So of course the Rams were already over like $32 million. So they freed up 48, got under that cap number. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Robert Woods, Andrew Whitworth, and Cooper Kupp all restructured their contracts. And then we're also looking at a potential restructure from quarterback Matt Stafford. The reason that we hadn't seen that beforehand, though, was because technically he was not a Ram, so we were not allowed to have those conversations. I'm sure they happened, but we were not technically allowed to have those conversations ahead of today. So I do anticipate something happening as far as the Matt Stafford contract does go, but I don't know how soon to necessarily expect that. But either way, those conversations weren't allowed to happen publicly. So, I mean, take that for what you guys want to. But either way, I do anticipate that happening as well. But like I said, Ramsey, Donald, Woods, Witt, Kupp, all restructured. I anticipate at least one more with quarterback Matt Stafford. Reports say that the Rams are not likely to be big buyers in free agency, which is definitely something that piggybacks most of my sentiments heading all the way into the off season like we are now. So this kind of been my whole philosophy this off season is it seems like this is going to be a retain and progress kind of off season instead of an additional off season. Of course, we've already seen it at the quarterback position. It's a big position to switch up at. But I still think that the Rams kind of stay a little bit, just kind of filling out depth. Also, I mean, what position do the Rams desperately need a starter in? I can't necessarily name one. You can point to certain positions at the linebacker spot that maybe we could improve, but there's positions that I don't think that if the Rams don't improve them or don't sign somebody at those positions, that they're just screwed. And it's like, we can't make it to the playoffs if this position doesn't get addressed. We don't have any of those. I think we've got starters on our roster today at every position. I think we've got starters. So I think that we're going to see a lot of depth signings. Excuse me. And I think we'll see a lot of schematic fits, low cost. Looks like we'll be doing some like league minimum kind of deals coming in. So that's what I anticipate as far as free agency continuing. Talking about free agency, though, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So we've seen some guys stay. We've seen some guys go. And it's unfortunate to see some of these guys go, especially some of the fan favorites. It is unfortunate. Some of my favorite players are not coming back. I'm sure some of your favorite players are not coming back. The good news is the Rams still exist, and we can find new favorite players that are on the roster today that we can root for and have a good time with. But let's go ahead and start. So we'll start with one of the biggest names, safety John Johnson. I did not anticipate John Johnson coming back. It doesn't even sound like the Rams really tried. It sounds like they kind of knew he had priced himself out of the LA Rams. I also think that the arrival and performance of Jordan Fuller and Terrell Burgess at the safety position, two guys who were rookies last year, I think that their presence kind of played into that a little bit, where we didn't necessarily need to spend big money because we can get production out of younger guys on lower deals. So John Johnson was a third-round pick in 2017. He has officially signed now with the Cleveland Browns. So he will be going out there to play with Stefanski, who's an awesome coach, honestly. I think the Cleveland Browns are headed in the right direction. I don't know, as far as that division, that's a weird division to kind of predict with the Ravens and Steelers and stuff, but hey, the Browns got one heck of a safety this offseason. So John Johnson, man, it's unfortunate to see him go. He was definitely a fan favorite. I really enjoyed watching him play with the LA Rams, but now he's in Cleveland. Next up, we'll go to running back Malcolm Brown, who was one of the St. Louis Rams. Made the trip over to LA with the team. He was undrafted in 2015, and of course that was the final year for the St. Louis Rams. And Malcolm Brown, he's going to be running the rock for the Miami Dolphins. So he's going from one place with palm trees to another one. All right, so he's going to see nice weather no matter what. So that's cool for Malcolm. But Malk, he's been one of those guys who was kind of a little bit of a workhorse. I've been saying it for years that he's going to be a starter for somebody and he's going to be productive for somebody. At the time, the Rams had Todd Gurley, and I thought that was going to be the reason that Malcolm Brown left. The reason that Malcolm Brown's leaving now, it seems like it may have been a cap decision, but also Cam Akers coming in, and Darrell Henderson, I think he's done enough, but Cam Akers is, I think, the reason that Malcolm Brown's not back. Next up, we'll go to another St. Louis Ram, the former longest tenured Ram, Jake McQuaid, the long snapper, undrafted in 2011 to St. Louis. Like I said, he was the longest tenured Ram. That went to Michael Brockers. Now that's over. So now it's going to be Johnny Hecker as the longest tenured Ram. Michael Brockers was the longest tenured Ram for all of about 20 minutes or so. So either way, Jake McQuaid, he does reunite with Coach Bones and Greg Zuerlein in Dallas, so he will now be a Cowboy. So unfortunate to see him go too, and I don't know why this one kind of hurts my feelings, but it's like Jake McQuaid, the long snapper, it's like, man, why would you do that, man? Like, come on back, but hey, you can't keep everybody. Next up, we'll go to linebacker Samson Ebukam. We no longer have to watch commentators struggle to say his name, except for twice a year. He was the 4th-round pick in 2017, and he has now signed with the San Francisco 49ers, so a rival team that he goes over to, a team that the Rams did not beat last year. So that's unfortunate, but hopefully Samson Ebukam was the reason that those losses were happening, and he carries those losses to the San Francisco 49ers. Not likely. I'm sure that the Rams didn't lose those games because of Samson Ebukam, but hey, I can dream, can't I? And the 49ers did get a linebacker with an extremely high motor, but does need to work on his fundamentals of pass rushing and use of hands. Didn't take a lot of tips from AD, I'm seeing over there, Samson. And now I can say that on the show because I wasn't going to say it if you were on the Rams. But man, you got to use your hands better, dude. Not anymore, though. You keep doing what you're doing. Next up, we'll go to Morgan Fox, who was definitely one of my favorite players. His jersey sitting over here, his Rams bone gray jersey sitting right over here. Because I am in Fountain, Colorado, his hometown. He was undrafted in 2016, so that was that first year in LA. He has now signed with the Carolina Panthers on a 2-year deal. So Foxy goes out to Carolina. He is no longer with the Rams. This is one of the players that I actually predicted was staying because I felt like he was kind of an underrated production kind of guy, and now he's going to be out with the Carolina Panthers. Next up, we'll go to tight end Gerald Everett. This is a guy that I did have predicted leaving the LA Rams, mainly because he just kind of disappeared from the production standpoint. He also just wasn't really on the field. Can you remember watching him play in the playoffs? We had 2 playoff games this year, one's against the Seattle Seahawks and one against the Green Bay Packers. I don't remember seeing Gerald Everett at all in those games. I think I may remember seeing him in the Seattle game for like a play, but that's really it. I didn't really catch him a lot, so I fully expected him to leave. He was a 2nd-round pick in 2017 by the LA Rams. He is now signing with the Seattle Seahawks, so that's going to be an interesting move to see because he was one of those players. He is one of those players that didn't necessarily have the best hands, had decent hands, pretty good hands. I would say above average, but definitely not the best, especially at the tight end position for a guy who really is more of a receiving tight end than a blocking tight end. But now he's going to be with the Seattle Seahawks. Difficult to tackle. That was always my appreciation for Gerald Everett was that he was difficult to tackle. You didn't know for sure if he was going to catch the football, but if he did, it was going to take 3 or 4 guys to take him down. So hopefully, the Raheem Morris defense of the LA Rams can figure out how to tackle Gerald Everett at a consistent basis, at least 2 games a year. So that's going to happen, Derek Rivers is a guy that we also had predicted leaving. He's going to go to the Houston Texans. Cornerback Darius Williams gets a 1st-round tender. He is expected to get the 1st-round tender. That's already done. I wrote these notes a while ago. So he did get the 1st-round tender, and so he'll be sticking around. That basically gives the Rams first right of refusal. He is free to negotiate with other teams or at least receive offers from other teams. But the Rams can just match that offer, and then that's it. Then they just keep him. Or they can just say, nah, you guys take him. We'll take your 1st-round pick. So that's how that's going to work. I do fully anticipate that Darius Williams will be wearing a horn on his helmet in the 2021 season. And not a Viking horn. It's a Ram horn. Let's see here. Other remaining free agents for the Rams that I don't expect back. I don't expect any of these guys back anymore, especially seeing the way that the offseason has unfolded and seeing the way that the free agency period has kind of unfolded as well. These are all just basically the remaining free agents of the Rams, but I don't anticipate any of these guys back, all right? Austin Blythe, Troy Hill, Blake Bortles, Josh Reynolds, Johnny Munt. I don't anticipate any of those guys coming back. I don't know where they're going to go. I don't have predictions for you guys or anything. I just don't anticipate them being Rams. Austin Blythe, would love Austin Blythe back, would love Josh Reynolds back, would love Troy Hill back, honestly. Troy Hill had more defensive touchdowns than anybody in the NFL in the 2020 season. And Johnny Munt, I just don't see a reason that the Rams would bring him back. I think the Rams have plenty of depth there. I know that we just lost Gerald Everett, but still. Let's go ahead and hop into the rest of the West, and then we'll get into our fan quesos. Am I going way too fast for you guys? Because I feel like I'm cruising right now, all right? Either way, rest of the West. So we'll start with the San Francisco 49ers. It looks like they're paying a lot of attention to the offensive line. Can't fault them for that. Of course, you got to keep Jimmy G. The G in Jimmy G, by the way, stands for glass, because that's what that guy's made out of. He's hurt all the time. So Jimmy Glass, I guess, he gets a little bit more protection. Trent Williams signs a $138 million deal for 6 years, $55 million guaranteed. That feels really low to me. That feels to me like this contract gives the 49ers plenty of outs after the first 2 years of this deal. So I fully anticipate, Trent Williams, awesome player. He's going to be there for at least a couple more years. But after that, I don't see him being a 49er for the next 6. I just don't see that happening, and I don't see him making the full $138 million either. The 49ers also have signed center Alex Mack, who did participate in some Cleveland Browns football up there, and he will now be snapping the football to Jimmy G. And I just had this one in there because I thought it was kind of cool. The rumors are saying that Deshaun Watson has 2 teams that he would like to play for, and that is the San Francisco 49ers and the Denver Broncos. Both of those teams don't work out well for me because I live in Colorado and I am a Rams fan. So that would mean that he would either be on a division rival, or I would have to hear about Broncos fans and them talking about Deshaun Watson and that he's Jesus and the next John Elway all off season, and that would not be fun for me. It's John Elway syndrome is something that I've given that to the Rams as well, because for a while all the left tackles that the Rams were drafting, we had John Elway syndrome, but it was with Orlando Pace. It was Orlando Pace syndrome. It was, we drafted Alex Barron. This guy's the next Orlando Pace, and it was just not good for anybody. So Deshaun Watson, though, he wants to play for the 49ers. We'll see what happens. Next up, we'll go to the Arizona Cardinals. Have agreed to a 2-year deal with offensive lineman Kelvin Beachum, so he is back. Rumors have had the Cardinals tied to many wide receivers, including guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, but we see today that the Cardinals did make a move and sign wide receiver A.J. Green to a 1-year deal, so did have a down year for the Cincinnati Bengals in 2020, but now he gets a 1-year prove-it deal. He's going to be playing with Kyler Murray and D-Hop out there. So that offense is actually looking pretty scary. I just don't know if all those pieces really fit together. And I realize that that's just talent, and talent goes with talent. You pair talent with talent, and good things usually happen. But is J.J. Watt enough of an addition on that defense to make the defense good? Because that was their weak spot. They're addressing... obviously they address defense with J.J. Watt, but that's it so far that we've seen from this Arizona Cardinals team. So I'm kind of curious to see how that goes and if their defense does actually get better, because Vance Joseph, I'm not a fan of Vance Joseph as the defense coordinator out there. So I don't know, guys. Either way, A.J. Green, former Cincinnati Bengal, is now an Arizona Cardinal. It looks like the Cardinals are going for big names but low production, because like A.J. Green's coming off his worst career season. J.J. Watt's coming off his worst career season. So on paper, the signings that the Arizona Cardinals are making sound insane. They sound crazy. And if this was 2016, we'd be looking at this team like, holy crap. But it's not. It's 2021, and this team looks pretty good. Got some big names. We'll see how the production goes on it. Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks now. I put them last because I usually put them first for some reason. I don't know why. But either way, The Bears have signed. This is a disaster for the Bears. I'm gonna put that out there. But it's not necessarily their fault. They got told no by the Seahawks. The Bears, they have signed quarterback Andy Dalton, which makes it very difficult for me to believe that Russell Wilson's on his way out, because it sounded like the Chicago Bears were like the one team that was really going to be making a push for Russell Wilson. Doesn't look like that's the case anymore because of Andy Dalton. So the Red Rocket's going to be out in Chicago launching the ball, and it looks like Russell Wilson will probably, if I had to say today, which is the 17th of March. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, guys. I'm recording a podcast. That's how I'm celebrating. You guys can't tell, but okay, I'm not wearing any green, but I am wearing blue and yellow. So use your imagination. All right. Either way, I think the Russell Wilson stays with the Seattle Seahawks now because of that Bears move. But also, it looks like they got told no. The Bears they had a pretty gnarly offer. If you guys have not seen it, I don't remember it exactly. The offer was insane. And honestly, the Seahawks are a little bit stupid for not taking that deal for Russell Wilson. I realize it's Russell Wilson. The rest of the team is pretty garbage right now, though. They don't have a good offensive line. They've got two decent wide receiver weapons, one really good one and one solid one. They do have a better tight end now than they had last year in Gerald Everett. But ultimately, man, this team, I felt like that was the Chicago Bears offer for Russell Wilson. That was a great chance for the Seahawks to be like, all right, reset. Let's do this. Let's do this and reset. Let's get another guy. Let's go ahead and move forward like this. Because Russell Wilson's blatantly unhappy in Seattle, so might as well let him go do his thing, get a haul in return for him, and then start to rebuild those pieces. But they said no. Hey, whatever. Reports also say that the Seahawks have shown interest in Sam Darnold, so we'll see what happens. Maybe that's the play. Maybe that's it. Maybe Russell Wilson gets shipped off to the New York Jets. I know that Boy Green would be super stoked about that. If you guys don't know Boy Green, he's the host of the Jet Zone podcast right here on Sports Horror Radio. Great guy. So we'll see what happens there. In other news for the Seahawks, they did extend defensive tackle Poona Ford to a 2-year, $14 million deal. And they are expected, or have now probably officially signed, cornerback Akello Witherspoon. If that name sounds familiar to you, he is formerly a San Francisco 49er. That is going to do it for the rest of the West. On the other side here, I'm going to take a quick break here. And on the other side, we will answer your fan quesos. All right, welcome back in. We are going to hop into our fan quesos. We're not going to waste any time, but if you guys are watching me right now, and you guys are watching maybe on YouTube or Facebook, whatever it happens to be, and you guys have a queso that you would like to drop, go ahead and drop them wherever you're listening. I will answer them on the next show. So let's go ahead and get started. This first one here addresses fan quesos, okay? So this one comes from Annette. What is fan quesos? LOL. So the reason that I'm even letting this question be answered here is because, I mean, obviously it's just fan questions. It's nothing crazy. But I feel like every once in a while I just need to re-up the story of fan quesos and the name and why this is all happening. So basically, to give you guys the basic sum up, is we were just doing fan question type. By the way, if you guys hear these loud bangs that are happening right now, I have no idea if they're coming through the mic or not. Super loud bangs. I live super close to Fort Carson. Sounds like they're practicing blowing stuff up. So that's what that is, if you guys are curious. Either way, fan quesos started as just fan questions, but I had one of my most hardcore fans who actually followed me when I was a writer, just writing about the then St. Louis Rams. And his name is Kyle, and huge supporter, great guy. He basically, what happened was he would always ask me, what is this player's favorite cheese? What is Aaron Donald's favorite cheese? And it'd be like a brick of cheese, just because that's what he is. He's just, whatever. What's Jared Goff's favorite cheese? Actually, that's a bad example because he was gone. He wasn't there when he was asking these questions, but it would have been like Swiss cheese because he's always finding the holes or whatever it is. And that's just how I would answer those questions, just be kind of creative or whatever. And he'd always ask me that, what is this player's favorite cheese? And Kyle has since passed away, but like I said, he was one of my biggest supporters. So in a weird way, that's the only way that I could really think to honor him in some possible way was to name a segment after him. Because like I said, he was one of my biggest supporters, always had my back, and awesome Rams fan. Great guy. In fact, if you go back and listen to the 1 year anniversary of Ram Showcase, it is available. I still keep it published. The very first person that pops in on that is Kyle. So you guys can hear why he likes the Rams. Next question here is going to come from Neil. Do you think the Rams are going to draft a speedster receiver, and at what round? I do, but by the way, I do fully believe that this is where the Rams address the wide receiver position is via the draft. And I fully anticipate that being a 3rd or 4th round pick. I don't think that the Rams go too high on this. I would say probably 4th round would make sense because the Rams don't necessarily need to address the wide receiver position. We've got Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, who are going to handle the bulk of the duties. Could we get somebody in there as a potential deep threat? Then yes, I do think that's absolutely possible. But I do anticipate the Rams addressing wide receiver in the draft. I just don't think that we'd see it in free agency. So yeah, I do think that's about mid draft is where we'll see that come in. Also, full disclosure here, I don't know how long my camera's going to last. I am terrible at time management. Apparently, I forgot to plug it in before work today, so I've been trying my best, and this is where we're at right now. So it may die. That just shows my poor time management skills. This next question here is going to come from Keon. What are your thoughts on potentially bringing back Dante Fowler? I'm guessing that, well, I know that this question was put in before the Leonard Floyd re-signing, so I don't anticipate that happening at all. I would actually, it's to the point now where I would actually be pretty surprised if the Rams brought back in Dante Fowler. I don't anticipate that happening at all. So, but as far as before that, to give you an answer to your question, before the news was actually like official for Leonard Floyd, I would have said that the Rams really have no reason to bring back Dante Fowler. That ship has kind of sailed, and that I wouldn't have seen that happening anyway, with or without Leonard Floyd. But with Leonard Floyd, much less likely. This one's going to come from Gary, and then we'll get into a bunch from Jay, and I think that does it for us after that. So Gary says, okay, now the Brockers is gone, and assuming we stay in a 3-4, who's in on the defensive line with AD? Solid question, Gary. So, really, I mean, as much as I'm not fully anticipating A'Shawn Robinson having that big of an impact, considering how small of an impact he had in the 2020 season, of course, was coming off of an injury. So maybe that kind of changes some things. Maybe A'Shawn Robinson is the new Michael Brockers. A'Shawn Brockinson? I have no idea. That was a weird attempt to combine those two names. But either way, I do think that A'Shawn is a potential candidate for that. Also, keep in mind, there are some other guys on this defensive line that the coaching staff is like a fan of. So, like Michael Hoke is one of them. I'm trying to remember the names now. There is some guys that have been mentioned by guys like Les Snead and stuff that the Rams have had good depth on the defensive line for a little while now, and I fully anticipate that one of those guys will be able to come in and produce. But Aaron Donald obviously is going to be the number one guy now with Morgan Fox gone. That kind of changes some things, but Michael Hoke and A'Shawn Robinson would be my guesses at this point. But defensive line, I would argue that that's really the only position that maybe we don't fully know the starters right now, and maybe that is a position that the Rams could address possibly in free agency. We'll see what happens. I don't really anticipate it happening. I would say that the Rams are more likely to address any kind of position need via the draft and then just depth in free agency. Robinson, though, probably gets more playing time. Jay starts it off. What up, Sheriff? What's up, Jay? Hope you guys, by the way, if you guys joined me on my live on Monday, I had an absolute great time, and possibly we'll do that more often, so we'll see what happens. Still feeling the loss of Brock, but unless in McVay we trust. They haven't failed us once. They did fail us just the one time. That was the year we didn't make the playoffs in 2019. But that's okay, because 75% of the time under McVay making the playoffs, I'll take that. Let's go ahead and hop into your questions, Jay, before my camera dies. Hopefully we can get through them. I don't want to blow through them, but I do want to not on camera. I don't want you guys not to be able to see my face. You guys need this face in your life, I think. First one here from Jay. Obviously, the Brockers trade was to save on the cap. But do you think that there is a bigger move coming via another trade or signing? I mean, it is Les Snead. Les Make-A-Deal Snead could be cooking something up right now. He might be in the kitchen cooking something up. We don't know. I don't really anticipate a whole lot going on right now. I think that the Rams are in a weird situation of like, okay, we got rid of all the cap. And I don't even know if the Rams were necessarily looking at who to add before knowing how much money they were going to have available. So now that they know how much money they have available, and I don't have those numbers in front of me, I can probably see if I can pop them in here to see if I can pull up some kind of numbers. But as far as another potential big move, I don't know if that's necessarily something that is going to happen. So let me see if Spotrac has us updated here. No, it still has this as negative 14.4 million. So that's not fully updated yet. But either way, there's a lot of new moves coming in. And I mean, free agency only started today. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that there's a big trade or signing coming. I do think that we'll see some guys that maybe you guys have heard of, maybe not. And, maybe the hardcore fans are like, oh, I know this guy. I used to watch him at Temple or whatever. And then on the other side of that, I feel like we're going to see some guys that we're like, I don't really know much about this guy. I just feel like that's what's about to be coming down. So let me get, I don't know if you guys can hear that coming through, but I don't anticipate big moves this offseason. I think we're eating money this year. We expected to be eating money this year. And with the Jared Goff move, we're still eating. I think it's Gurley money or is it Cook's money? One of those two, we're still eating money from them. So next year, we'll see what happens. These restructures, by the way, that we talked about earlier, all we did was push money back. So we did free up money this offseason, but that money still needs to be paid eventually. And so I think that we're just kind of like, hey, hope we win a ring. And then it might come crashing down. We'll see what happens. Next one here from Jay. We still need a burner this offseason. Do you see us addressing it in the draft, free agency, or from within? I don't think we have the guys from within to necessarily do this. Simba Webster makes me super nervous. I don't trust him really when he's got the football in his hands. I feel like he's just a fumble waiting to happen. So I fully anticipate the wide receiver burner position to be addressed via the NFL draft that happens next month in April. April time. It's going to be good stuff. I'm excited for this draft, actually. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what the Rams, do with these picks again. I mean, it seems like we go into every single draft and we're like, we don't even have any good picks. This is going to suck. And then we get guys and we're like, okay, this is productive. And then they start playing and we're like, okay, I'll see you, Les. I'll see you out there making moves. And it's good stuff. Next one here from Jay. I know the NFL is a business, but how do you think AD is taking the Brockers move right now? That's his boy. Do you think the Rams brass let him know beforehand? Probably. They probably let him know beforehand. But I also want to let you know, man, that Brockers was offered in a restructure. They went to him to restructure his deal. He said no. So for that reason, I don't think that this time it's hurting Aaron Donald as much as last time that Brockers left, when Brockers left for the Baltimore Ravens and was just back, because Aaron Donald hated that one. This one, though, I would say that if Aaron Donald really wanted Brock back bad enough, he would have told him, dude, restructure your deal. What are you doing, man? Stick around. And that didn't happen. So I don't think he's taking it as hard this time. But either way, they probably talked to him beforehand. They probably were like, hey, man, we know last time you were not happy about this. We want to let you know Brockers isn't sticking around. We tried to restructure him. He wouldn't do it. We have to get under the cap, so we're going to trade him away for a nickel, basically, is what the Rams traded him for. But, I would say that's probably what happened, but I'm sure they sold it to him in a way of like, we tried to restructure with him. He won't do it. There's just no way we can keep him around under this deal. And AD was probably like, hey, man, or however Aaron Donald talks. That was the worst Aaron Donald impression ever. I don't know why that's my Aaron Donald impression. Next one here from Jay. I have to say we lost a lot right now in talent just due to cap issues. It seems that as if Snead, is just trying to trade away the bad contracts or release them. Buyer's remorse, bad contract management, or is he given a pass due to the pandemic? No one's given a pass due to this pandemic, first of all, man. Pandemic or not, the world still goes on. Things still need to be done. Life still needs to be maintained. So, no, nobody gets past just because we're in a pandemic. I know that sometimes situations suck via pandemic. Either way, you got to deal with it and move on. So no passes from the Sheriff Joe Bag's front. But is it buyer's remorse? I definitely think Gurley was buyer's remorse, and probably Goff as well. Probably like, all right, we get these deals done early, and then those guys kind of fall off a little bit. It's like the second we paid Todd Gurley, his knee was like, peace, and then it was just done. So it's unfortunate to see that kind of stuff happen, but I think that right now we've learned from those mistakes. We've learned from those contracts. I hope at least. I hope that the Rams front office is learning from those mistakes because we were paying guys really early and a lot. So we can't do that anymore. I think they know that. And I think that's why a lot of these free agents are not coming back to us, is because the Rams are like, we're not going to overpay you. We're not doing it. And I feel like some of these guys are like, but you overpay everybody. Why can't I get overpaid? And now they're gone. So is it buyer's remorse, bad contract management? I think the Rams have been just trying to make players happy. You have happy players that are stoked to show up, and they probably play better. So I think that that's probably what it was. You could maybe pass that on to bad contract management. But, I mean, honestly, man, there's always a way. And that's what I said before, the new league year last week is saying is like, there's always a way to get under the cap. There's always a way to do it. There's always a way to push around some money into different things and make it happen. And that's exactly what the LA Rams were able to do. Les Snead was able to make a Dale Snead. I will never not call him that. He was able to make it work. So bad contract management, but that follows up with finagling with the salary cap and being able to work it. So it's possible for everybody. And look at all the teams that have money. They suck. All right. Teams that spend win games. Teams that don't spend are picking top 5. So I'll take it. Number 5, I already missed Brock, man. Not a question, but I feel you, dude. I feel it. But also, I want to let you know, man, that either way, it sucks to lose certain players. I'm very bummed out that Morgan Fox, Josh Reynolds, Jake McQuaid, Michael Brockers, that these guys are not coming back. Big fans of these guys. John Johnson, definitely. Big fans of these guys, but a big fan, I guess. I'm not multiple fans. Either way, players come and go. The Rams are forever. The roster, an NFL roster, is an ever-evolving mechanism that is never complete. There's people coming in, people going out. It's always just shifting. You get a guy hurt, well, let's get this next guy in, and he better produce like the first guy did because, A, these are like the top athletes in America, and B, because they're just, I mean, that's what you're there for. If you're a backup, your job is to, when that guy goes down or that guy can't play, that you do his job, which is perform. And so, I mean, it sucks to lose certain guys, and especially guys like Brock, who were kind of like part of the come up, you know what I mean? So like they were there in St. Louis where we were terrible. First year back in LA, trash, 4-12. Jared Goff goes 0-7. We started 3-1, felt real good, and then just came crashing down. So 4-12 that year, Goff goes 0-7. We're just doing terrible. We get smoked by teams like the Falcons at home and stuff like that. And it was just not a good time. And he was part of that come up. So for those guys, it's unfortunate to see them leave. But like I said, man, players come and go. The Rams are forever. The name on the weird little nameplate to the side of the chest is way more important to me than the name on the back. I hate to see these guys go, but hey, man, new guys are going to come in and hopefully those new guys, kick some butt cheeks, and we're good to go. Next one here from Jay. Today, Matthew Stafford is officially the LA Rams' new quarterback. What do you see him bringing to the Rams this year, and do you think he comes out firing, or will there be a lot of palms to faces? I don't think that that's the case. And I've kind of, as time goes on, because I started pretty confident in this move. I started feeling pretty good initially about the Matt Stafford move. Jared Goff, he turns the ball over. That's a problem. Even as a Jared Goff supporter, I've blatantly called that out. It's like, dude, that's a problem, though. Turnovers are insane. He had, 3 interceptions to defensive linemen this year? That can't happen. So Matt Stafford, his best coach may have been Jim Schwartz. So for that reason, I really feel good about this. Okay, he's seen Jim Caldwell, Jim Schwartz, and Matt Patricia as his head coaches. If you don't think that alone improves his value himself, because if you think that Matt Stafford is going to, you're going to take the Matt Stafford and the decisions he's making and the reads he's making and the players that he's throwing to and all this stuff, in all those situations, you're just going to take that and take it into LA. That's wrong. That is not how any of this works. How this works is now you take Matt Stafford, who's got an extremely strong arm. That's what he's known for. He's got experience. He's been in this league since 2009. He was a first-round pick in 2009 by the Detroit Lions. Then you have the time of throwing to Calvin Johnson, where all he had to do was throw it up into quadruple coverage and score touchdowns. To Johnson leaving early and him needing to go through and read defenses. He's tough as hell. He's finishing games with, he's all super banged up and stuff like that. Of course, Goff did the same thing this year, but not to the level that Matt Stafford has done it. And I think that you take all of that, you put him with the best head coach he's ever seen in his career, more weapons than he's ever seen in his career. Of course, Calvin Johnson is better than anybody the Rams have right now, but he's not had this many weapons in his entire career. He's got a better offensive line than he's ever had in his career. He's got a better defense than he's ever had in his career. So to think that he's going to just be that same Matt Stafford, I think is ridiculous. I think it has no basis at all. And I truly think that Matt Stafford, he improves, like himself. Matt Stafford as a quarterback, I think he gets better coming to the LA Rams. It's just a better situation. Overall, it's a better situation. Better ownership, better coaching, better offensive line, better weapons, better defense. All of it's better situation for Matt Stafford. If you are at your job and all your coworkers suck, you're picking up the slack for all your coworkers, your manager's late all the time, they're terrible, and then you're a rock star. You're out there doing your best, but you can't do everything. You know what I mean? So, and then you go to a company that your manager supports you. You're doing awesome. Your coworkers are always there to help you out. You get, your pay is awesome. You live in a better city due to this job and all that stuff. You don't think you're going to do a little bit better? I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening. So I think it'll be good. Coming up here, riddle me this. Stay with me. Trade alert. Lions sign and trade wide receiver Kenny Golladay and a 6th-round pick to LA for wide receiver Cooper Kupp and a 4th-round pick. Goff stays with his buddy to gang up on Brockers, who thinks he's a level below Stafford. Thinks, bro? Come on now, he is. While the Rams get a true number 1 wide receiver with speed, everyone's happy. Thoughts? I think that the picks are a little unnecessary in this. I think you could go Golladay for Kupp, and I think that both sides would take it. I really do. But that's it. I think I like it. I think I like it because you would get Stafford with a guy that he likes, and you get Goff with a guy that he likes. I don't hate it, but I do love Cooper Kupp, and I don't want to see him go. Next one here. Still can't believe Brock is gone. Still not a question, but I do feel you. Next one. Rank your top 5 wide receivers in our division with priority on best hands. Hashtag catch everything. I should have read this one before because I'm not prepared. DeAndre Hopkins is way up there. Then I'm going to say Cooper Kupp. He's got great hands. He does have drop problems every once in a while where some of you are like, how did you drop that? And you know what? No, scratch that. I'm going to go number 1, DeAndre Hopkins. Number 2, I'm going to say Robert Woods. Robert Woods does not have a drop problem at all. Number 3, let's go with DeAndre Hopkins. Great. Or I already said DeAndre Hopkins. I'm losing my own mind here. So Hopkins, Woods, we'll go Metcalf after that. Then I'll say AJ Green. I mean, great hands for Green. And then I'll say Kupp. We're gonna blow off the 49ers because I don't like their wide receivers. I should have read that one before. Maybe I'll have a better answer for you next week. Because I'm actually, by the way, guys, Rest of the West is going to change just a little bit. What I'm going to start doing with Rest of the West is we'll not only give you guys news on those guys, but we'll also be doing, we'll be ranking the top quarterbacks, 1 to 4, 1 to 4 running backs, 1 to 4 defenses, all that stuff. We're going to be kind of incorporating that starting next week, actually, is when we're planning on doing that. So I already got a couple of lists set up. Wanted to see free agency kick off first before I started really throwing that in. So that's why it'll be next week. But I do have a couple lists already done. Next one here. On a side note, how do you think Goff and Brockers' first conversation is going to sound like? Brockers, hey, Jared. F you, Michael. The sun sets on the west. I love that. I'm so curious. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in that conversation. Sincerely, I really wish I could see how that one goes. But I feel like with Goff's personality, he's just going to be like, hey, man, I get it. I don't know. And last one here. Abucom to the 49ers and now Gerald Everett to the Seahawks. Yes, I'm salty. Thoughts? Yeah, that's a weird one. Everett to the Seahawks is the one that really bothers me, I think, is because, man, it's like you... I don't know. I guess it's just the Seahawks, really. It's the division winner that we beat in the playoffs, and you're just going to, I don't know. But hey, the Rams weren't offering them, so hey, go get your money, man. Go get your money. And now we know him. He knows us. It just makes it more competitive, and I'm all about competitive. I don't want the Rams to just beat the crap out of everybody. That's not fun. All right, if the Rams were winning every game 52-0, like we did against the Raiders at one time, it was cool. It's like, yeah, screw you, Raiders. I got to talk a bunch of trash to the Raiders fans at the bar, but ultimately, it was like kind of not that fun to watch. We knew by the second quarter we were going to win that game. Trey Mason launched off that 92-yard run though. That was awesome. Bonus question here: is Michael Seth Bruckers really gone? Yes, he is. Unfortunately, he is now a Lion. What was that one? That tweet a long time ago was like Jay Cutler has officially passed his physical, or has passed his physical, and is officially a Dolphin. And somebody quote tweeted it. It was like, if football didn't exist, this would be a way cooler tweet. It's like the same thing with Bruckers. It's like Bruckers is now a Lion, guys. He's out. He's going to be in the Sahara hunting gazelle. Is that the plural? I feel like that's the gazelles. Doesn't sound right to me. That does not feel right. Gazai, maybe? I don't know. Thank you guys for your fan quesos. Make sure you guys drop them wherever you guys are listening to me or watching me. You guys can go ahead and just drop them right there. My camera is about to die. I feel like it might happen any second now, so I do apologize about that, guys. That is my fault. We will just go get a new battery, actually, because this one is not that good. We'll load up on batteries. We'll have a bunch of them can rotate in and out. Second string battery, third string battery. This is going to be the backup battery. This battery that's in here right now, this is going to be like the Case Keenum of batteries, where it's like, it's useful and I can use it if I need to, but I don't really want to if I don't have to, so whatever. Hope that made sense to you guys. It made perfect sense in my brain, so we got that going for us. Let's see here. Also, like I said, guys, we're going to be trying to do some more lives. We'll kind of start incorporating those a little bit. We'll see what happens, but and apparently the people want some post-game stuff this next season, so maybe we'll work on that as well. But that is going to do it for me. Make sure you guys follow the Ram Showcase on all your favorite social media. That would be at Ram Showcase on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Ram Showcase. You can follow myself as well at Sheriff Joe Bags on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Sheriff Joe Bags. So make sure you guys follow the social media. That's some good stuff there. We have been a lot more active lately about keeping people up to date. I know with my work schedule, it sometimes gets a little bit bananas. I sleep early, like I said, and then my work schedule, full-time job also. So sometimes I don't see them immediately, but I have been getting them as fast as I can up there. So, that's good. That's it for me, though. Make sure you guys follow Ram Showcase on all those outlets there. Make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, do whatever you got to do, drop your fan quesos, all that stuff. Tell me where you're from, tell me your favorite Rams player, who do you guys miss the most, who do you guys hope the Rams get this offseason. Drop all that information. But this is going to do it for me. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. This has been Ram Showcase on Sports War Radio. For those of you who aren't Rams fans, our thoughts and prayers are with you. For those of you who are Rams fans, thank you guys so much for listening, and you guys have a great night.